All right. So the small forwards have been a controversial topic so far in in 2K20 because they have been heavily nerfed. Most notably because in the NBA, the the height that you expect out of a small forward is 6'8" to 6'9", and once you go from 6'7" to 6'8" in this game, you take a massive hit on a lot of attributes. But does that mean that small forwards are dead? Because I think when most people look at whether or not small forwards are dead, they are looking at the pure point forward primarily, but there's also reason to be concerned about the lockdown as well. So I want to get into whether they should be fixed, how they could be fixed, if they need to be fixed, and all that, and so on and so forth in this breakdown. So first things first, as soon as you make a small forward and you just scroll down, if you look at the shooting attributes of every build except the shooter, except the, like the pure shooter, they're not great, right? Like just right off the bat, if you're not making a sharp shooting small forward, um, you're looking at the struggle bus from a shooting standpoint, right? Because the slasher literally just can't shoot at all. I don't think a 51 three-point shot is going to cut it this year like it did last year. Um, this is okay shooting. This is okay for the. But think about it. This is a build, right? This okay. So I just to rant on this real quick. If you're making a guard or a forward or wing player, I think you should stay away from the shooting slasher. I think this is one of the worst pie charts in the game. And this leads into why slashers are bad. If you look at slashers, they got a big buff to ball handling. Like they can get an 86 dribble, no problem. At 6'3", they got it at 6'2" last time, but now you can get it off rip and with a 6'3". But they took a big hit to defense. Look at those defensive ratings. Last year on the slasher, you had silver. Like slashers were really good defenders last year, right? Look at your lateral quickness with a basic small forward. I think this guy's what 6'6" right now, maybe 6'7" as a small forward position default. Before we were to go ahead, what size is he? Let's just take a look at his size. They're not gonna let me go forward. Whatever. But yeah, I think he's 6'6" right now, and you look at his lateral quickness, and it's just god awful. If you refer to the point guard builds we were talking about, they're all 90 and above in their speed ratings. And with a 65 lateral quickness, I don't care what badges you put on this character, your slasher is not going to be able to defend those characters, most likely. Unless the defense gets super sticky like last year, if you were to make a pure slasher as small forward, you're really just talking a build that literally does one thing and one thing only, which is go to the basket and dunk on people. And if you do that, it's going to be a lot of fun. Like you're going to have a lot of fun in the park. But I do think that straight up, the pure slasher is worse than it was last year, at least on paper, because last year the slasher was automatically also part defender. They got a lot of defensive badges. And I think the shooting badges last year were much more forgiving than they're going to be this year, because you look at how they're overall nerfing, the speed of releases and stuff like that. You have to quick draw. And when you look at creating a build in this game, whatever's not your primary archetype, it takes a ton of attribute points to get badges. So this means as a slasher, if you want gold quick draw, you have to dump a whole bunch of attributes, a whole bunch of attribute points into shooting and not actually get any shooting, right? So you're talking about you filled up your three-pointer, you're not going to use free throw in the park, and I only have one shooting badge. This is horrible for the slasher. Like literally just absolutely terrible. And the post fade goes to an 85. So what they're trying to tell you is that slashers are forwards now, right? Like slashers are not meant to be guards. If you want to be a slasher as a guard or a forward, you should make a playmaking defender. That's going to be much closer to a slasher than an actual pure slasher is going to be. So it's not that I think slashers won't be good at slashing, but they are so absolute trash at everything else. What up, Pete Toll? The slashers are so absolutely trash at everything else that I think the pure slasher is funny enough. The pure slasher is the only way to go with a slasher because at least you are good at slashing. But once you start blending slashing with other stuff, this is supposed to be slashing and shooting. I get a 79 driving dunk. As we went over, literally a pure playmaker can get that. A pure playmaker can get more slashing than a build with slashing in it. And if you want to say, well, you're sacrificing some slashing for the shooting, look at the shooting ratings. The same ratings as you got on a pure playmaker. It's an absolutely just hands down inferior build to other stuff. So I would generally say, unless you're a forward, for which these builds could be really good, but as on the wing, on the perimeter, these two builds are trash. So going back to small forwards, a lot of people are upset that you can't get an 86 ball handle with a 6'8 small forward. So let's look at the playmaking pie. So, okay, Pito's asking, would I recommend a sharp slash build at shooting guard? No, I would not. And the reason I would not is because I think with the shooting guard, you know what? I'm gonna make a shooting guard video after this. Or maybe I'll incorporate it after we deal with the small forwards in this video. But I do think there's something people aren't looking at with the shooting guards. But I would probably opt more for a playmaker, a pure playmaker at shooting guard, or a play shot at shooting guard, or a defensive sharp at shooting guard. I would say that's overall the rule with slashing. If you look at defense, I get an 87 driving dunk on a small forward as a defender. That's plenty good enough, right? And you get the same speed as a slasher. So you get the same athleticism, you get a dunk that's really, really close, and you get these great defensive attributes. Look at that steal. It's an 89. If my wingspan goes up, it's going to be a 90. That's awesome. You're absolutely going to be plucking people with this build. You still can't shoot worth a lick if you pick the pure defender. But for my money, the pure defender is better than the pure slasher. But if we go up here, I think generally it's better to make the defending playmaker than the slasher. And the main reason for this is really the reason I think small forwards might not be entirely dead. Not entirely dead. If you play small forward, what's up, Marcel McKenzie? Would I recommend a two-way sharp for a small forward or a PG? No. I would recommend a two-way sharp for a power forward or a center. I think the defending sharp or the sharp defender in those builds is going to be much better because your size is going to make you a good defender. So the main problem with the slasher or the two ways is look at this lateral quickness. It's a 74. If you're on the perimeter, the guard you're guarding has a 95 speed. Like, how are you staying in front of that? All right? So what are you doing at this point? If you shrink your if you grow your wingspan to be better at blocks and closing out, you're so trash on offense as a shooter, and you throw away your ball handling. Like, look at the ball handle on all of these builds, right? Obviously, the pure playmaker goes up to 83. Keeping in mind, we're not even 6'8 yet, right? So we haven't even taken the hit. Look at my ball handling: 67, 75, 67, 74, 70. Like, this is horrible, So I think if you make a small forward, you have to decide what it is you're doing on the court. I think the one small forward build that's going to be really, really, really good that people are sleeping on, and why I would say small forwards are not totally dead, is the sharp. And here's why. So if you make the sharp, so he has a 93 shot. Every sharp is slow, well, relatively slow. A 75 speed on a sharp is not that bad, right? You're not looking to be locking anybody down. That's not your job. Your job is to get buckets, right? So I would probably go with the speed profile here. That makes the most sense. But here's the thing. Obviously, you can get every shooting badge in the book. But because your slow ass can't dribble or dunk anyway, you can also put everything else into defense beyond the shooting. Like you can literally go everything into defense. Now here's the trick. These are not great defensive attributes. I mean, the 70 in block is pretty good. The 76 defensive rebounds pretty good. 65 lateral quickness, you getting cooked. You just have to eat that as a sharp. But they're getting 2 points and you're getting 3, so you win. Um, I will put some into playmaking. Just look, can we get a playmaking badge up in here? Yeah, we can get 7. 7's fine. Um, put up driving layup. Oh, definitely post fades got to go all the way up. What am I doing? Post fades got to go all the way up. So here's the reason I think the small forward sharp is actually pretty solid. So they're a 6'7", but look at this. When they go to 6'9", which is pretty tall, right? 6'9" is pretty tall. They still get a 91 in mid-range and an 89 three-point. Now, if we whatever, none of this matters. You're not athletic. Do what you want. But if you shrink that wingspan, your shooting ratings go all the way up to maximum level. If you guys notice, you can't get a 99 in any attribute. The max you can get is a 95. I think the reason they do that is because takeover boosts you above a 95, right? And all of these attributes, and you can get boosts and you got badges at play. So you're talking about you have maximum shooting numbers on a 6'9" character, which means that most people who are guarding you are not going to be able to contest your shot. And the reason this is particularly important is because last year, as a pure sharp, you basically could only shoot and then everything else you did was cheating, right? Like you had shooting and nothing else. But this year, there are 2 big adjustments that they made. What up, Eastwick? There's 2 big adjustments that they made to the sharpshooting build in terms of badges that are and overall gameplay that are really, really important. And it's slippery off ball and deep fades. So the thing is, if I'm 6'9", right, I can score on any character in the game except for a 6'6" playmaking lockdown defender, because that character has long enough arms and they're fast enough to keep up with everything, right? But outside of that specific build, you can score on everybody else, because if they're small, you get to post them up. This fade is what's your shot at your mid range is a 95. Jesus, right? Your dead eye can go Hall of Fame, catch and shoot Hall of Fame, difficult shots Hall of Fame. This is another one. Difficult shots, slippery off ball. I think again is the most underrated badge in the game. Range extender for sure. I would even put, give me that tireless and pick and popper. Absolutely, let's get that pick and popper up. This build I think is going to be so strong because they are just fast enough, just long enough that on the perimeter they are a monster. Now I do think that the 6'11" stretch is also going to be very good for the same exact reasons, but this character at the small forward position, because other small forwards are also slow, your speed's not a factor. Yeah, you're going to get cooked by guards. Yeah, but you're a sharp. You expect to get cooked, right? That's fine. But let's go Paul George. But the thing is, with those shooting badges that you can get, and the fact that you can at least put, again, gold clamps and silver intimidator to help you out a little bit. I mean, gold intimidator to help you out a little bit. Throw in a little rim protector. Or maybe you want rebound chaser if you're helping out on the boards. But you're going to be a better defender than you were last year. And that post fade is going to be monstrously deadly with this character on any guard build. And the thing is, when a big is guarding you, that off-ball movement with that slippery off-ball, they're going to have a hell of a time keeping up with you. Unless they have a small forward or tall shooting guard that's specifically a defender, you're looking at a situation where you are going to be a nightmare. I think any sharpshooter from 6'9" to 6'11" is going to benefit from it. It's just about how fast do you want to be with the off-ball movement versus when do you want that threshold of post fades to go away. That having been said, I think there's one more thing about the I think there's one more thing about the small forward class that we need to look at. Beyond the fact that you can make a 6'6" and kind of it's not really a small forward, right? The thing that people are underestimating in this game is that when you make a pure playmaker, all right, let's go ahead and take a look at this. Let's move forward. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you guys the pure playmaker or the playmaking defender at small forward and show you what's good about the build. Now we know it has drawbacks. We know that if you make this build at a guard, you can basically do everything. And if you make this build at a small forward, you're so bad at shooting that if you're not getting steals and blocks and fast break dunks, you're making a major sacrifice. I get it. Small forwards are not in a great spot right now. Now my question to you guys though is, should they be in a great spot? Because the moment a small forward can dribble and speed boost, people say, why would I pick a guard, right? And last year, guards got phased out of multiple aspects of the game. So, guards got phased out of multiple aspects of the game. And since everybody could defend a guard by just putting their hand up and getting speed boosted towards the guard when they shot, why would you make a guard versus making a small forward or a center? And this really hurt the game because we saw, on the ones courts, all post scorers and lockdowns. On the twos courts, same thing, all stretches and lockdowns and post scorers. On the threes courts, people would roll up with 3 lockdown defenders. In Pro-Am, you couldn't even dribble the ball up court without getting harassed. So the guards needed a buff, and the guards got a massive buff. But we don't want the small forward to be sacrificed entirely. Now, we already discussed how... Sorry, guys. We already discussed how, as a small forward, you can shoot over guards, and you can run off ball when bigs are guarding you. So as a utility sharp, I think you can have tremendous success as a sharpshooter at the small forward position this year. It'll be a sacrifice on defense, but if you're mostly guarding defensive players in the corner, you're good to go. So now we go to, what about off the dribble? In the real NBA, small forwards are the most versatile, dangerous people on the court when it comes to scoring, when it comes to defense. They can defend in most positions, they can score in the most places, they're tough going to the basket, all that stuff, la la. All right, I'm with you. So if we look at the pure playmaker at small forward, it's not too bad. When you look at that 88 speed, we don't want to go below that. The main problem that people are having, let's just go ahead, and none of this really matters for this particular discussion because we're not discussing a specific small forward build so much as, can small forwards be good at all if they're not a pure sharp, right? And because you don't get real shooting outside of being a pure sharp, what are your options now, right? I'm not going to shoot great. I mean, that 79 mid-range is okay. That 79 three-point is okay. It's solid. But since I'm a pure playmaker, is solid good enough? Well, let's explore. Let's investigate. Because I think it's worthy of investigation. And we have a nice collection of badges here, right? Go built. Okay, so we're talking about the 6'8s because I think the 6'7 is fine. The 6'7's okay. I think the 6'7 might even be good because he'll have a size and athleticism mismatch against most people, and defensively he'll still be pretty good. All right. The 66 lateral quickness isn't great, but because of your overall speed and the fact that you can dump badges into it, you'll be okay. We're really talking about the 6'8. The 6-8 is when the struggle bus rolls up. Let's look at these statistics before we move forward. We got a 78 mid-range. That's great. You're going to be shooting over people. You get the difficult shots going. You're fine. 71 three-point shot. You'd rather it be a 75. That's not super great. The driving dunk is only a 74. Now that should be alarming, right? Because the pure playmaker got an 80 when he was a smaller guard. And you looked at some of a pure defender got a 95. And at 6'8", I'm only getting a 74. And as we discussed before, if I put slashing in this build, I'm going to take such a hit on defense. It's going to be horrible. It's such a hit on shooting, it's going to be horrible. I could put defense on this build, but I'm going to get such a hit on ball handling and, most importantly, ball handling badges. That's going to be horrible. So I kind of feel like you're almost stuck exploring the pure playmaker. But here's where it gets interesting with this game. So I'm 84 speed. Look what happens with my speed when I put my strength up. Nothing. My speed's obviously not going to go down. Now my acceleration goes down. But how important is that? So let's say we go to a 60 strength. This guarantees I'm stronger than every guard build that's basically not a max weight pure defender. Now we're looking at our wingspan. Now conventional wisdom is to put the wingspan all the way down to get those shooting ratings respectable. Now with the 81 mid-range shot, if I get the shot creator takeover, I basically have a 6'8 shot creator. Is that bad? I don't know if that's bad, right? That's interesting. I don't know if that's bad. We get the shot creating takeover. Interesting. Now, if you want more speed boost, you can get the playmaking takeover. Why is this guy so fat? What body did I pick? I picked built? My bad. You're looking crazy. Let's try that again. All right. So I want that strength up to 60. I'll keep the 78 acceleration. We're going to go minimum wingspan. Shot creator takeover. So remember what I showed you guys with the guards, right? What I showed you guys was that the tight handles isn't working in the main game of the demo because you can't do size up dribbles at all. So what we have to keep an eye on, let's go ahead and get some contact finisher. Let's get some Giant Slayer and get me Relentless. Let's do it like that. Difficult shots is a must. Quick draw is a must. Range extender is a must. And I would say give me some catch and shoot. Good enough for me. All right. Playmaking. Now here's the part that we need to discuss. This is the important thing. So we know that stop and go, quick first step, or Hall of Fame. This already feels a little cheese, right, with this character. Now here's where Jason Battle earlier asked about the downhill badge. This character, what do we say? You can't get a 99 in speed because other things boost your speed. What does this badge do? Gives a bonus to the speed with the ball attribute in fast break situations. So now, if you get a rebound with this character and take off, that 84 speed is what? Even if this only gives you 1 per badge, is now at 88 speed. Plus your ball handling. This is a faster character now. That's super important. You know what I mean? That's like a really big deal. That's something you can't just ignore. So tight handles, that's the next most important thing. So the important thing about tight handles to understand, and I can't stress this enough, in the demo, size up dribbles aren't working, either because the signatures don't allow them to work or because there's some kind of bug. In the main game, last year, you could do size up dribbles without having an 86 ball handle. So tight handles and quick first step out of a size up are going to be much more powerful in the main game than they are in the demo. And I think people aren't taking into account that with your size and strength, how much that can actually affect your build. So let's see, we got 7 badges. Just to have them be max, we're gonna go with all playmaking stuff just for the sake of this experiment, right? Okay, so as we know, we want Intimidator, clamps on gold, everything else don't really care about. But for this character, I would say give me some Rebound Chaser. all right, to maximize the potential for that build. And for the shot, let's go with Paul George. Why not? Okay, I'm actually going to play a little bit in this game because there's something important that I want to show you guys with the small forward builds that people really, I just don't think they're taking into account. I've made tiny guard builds. There's these itty bitty guards, these 5'11", 6 feet guards that are supposed to be really good because they get a 90 and everything. They can dribble, pass, shoot. They get high dunk ratings, right? What up, straight stunting? And those characters are supposed to be good. But if you actually play with those characters, and I recognize this is just a demo, but if you actually play with those characters, it's really hard to get past people. Like, you actually have to break ankles to get past people because you just can't get around them. Like, they have an invisible force field, a box that pushes you backwards, right? But with the small forward build, give me that ball. Let's get an ISO. So I got Klay Thompson on me, simple crossover, and look at how I ride him to the basket. Look at this. I rode him all the way into the paint with very little effort, and that's Klay Thompson. Now, again, I know that this is just a demo, but you have to keep an eye on what this is actually like in the main game, because when you play a tiny guard in the demo, you don't just run past them like that. Those tiny guards get bumped. But these small forwards, I think what 2K is trying to do is they're trying to make you as a small forward play more in the style of LeBron James and Paul George and all these guys, right? So when you have these stop and go badges, so right there, I'm not even doing anything. Look at how far Klay's sagging off. I just ride him to the basket. I don't even have to do anything because I'm so big. So if they buff these characters and give them what 2K19 they needed, but they give it to them in a game where they don't need. Yo, why my guy didn't shave the back of his head? Yo, you gotta need a new razor, homie. They give these guys what they needed in 2K19 in 2K20 when they don't need it anymore. The small forward might be completely unguardable by anything except for a stretch, except for a pure lockdown, which would be so useless on offense this year. I just don't think the pure lockdowns are going to have the shooting because they're looking to correct it. They're looking to deal with that. And I just put this on. I'm doing this live. And with Klay Thompson on me in every scenario, look at this. That's crazy. With the bailout badge, thanks Pascal Siakam. I appreciate that. But I think we need to play the full game and look at how movement works, because in this build, when I do this right here and I go to this hezzy, I can't do a size up because the build is broken. Imagine that with the dimer. Because the build is broken. In the demo, you can't do size ups. So that means tight handles isn't even active in the demo. So until we see small forwards with tight handles on to see what they look like without an 86 ball control, we don't know if the build is busted yet. We're just looking at numbers, playing what we call playing theory ball. Ooh, Pascal having a rough game. So I want to see the main game before rushing to judgment on small forward builds. Because if a small forward can just hit me with a hezzy and then run past me and then take this pull up, like, I'm going to be pissed off, man. If they boost this character, and I'm just going to be like, why would I pick a guard? Why would I not play with a 6'8" if he doesn't even need a dribble move to get past me, to dunk on me, to just blow by me, right? And it's not even that the blow bys are an issue. I don't agree with that thinking, because a 6'8" person who can handle the rock can blow by. And now I got the downhill working for me. Look at this. I'm just faster. You can't do anything with me. Pascal's wide open. Like, this is the easiest character to play with in the demo. And even though it is just a demo, even though part of my argument is that the demo is busted, I'm not going to disregard all evidence that the demo's provided. I think it's a distinct possibility that these characters are actually very strong, and that if you build them out the right way, with the right shooting badges, you're very smart about how you want to approach your playmaking and your ball handling, this character might not be dead. Now, it might not be alive for people who want to play in a certain style. If you want to play 2K19, the character might be dead. right? But if you want to play 2K20, the character may be very, very, very good. And it might actually play more like that versatile build that can shoot the kind of shots that LeBron James shoots, dribble in the way that LeBron James dribbles. You know what I'm saying? Like, you just look at Clay, he's sliding all over the place because look how he has to deal with me. It's impossible to keep this character out of the paint right now. And they don't need an 86 ball control because of that ability to blow by. So I'm not saying small forwards are good. Small forwards have been nerfed, and that nerf might need to be adjusted a little bit. But I would just say, to close this out, be very, very careful what you ask for when you ask for the small forwards to be buffed, because they could easily, once again, phase guards all the way out of the game. And the only saving grace right now is that their lateral quickness isn't that high, so maybe guards can still score. But if a small forward can dribble, pass, and shoot, no problem. There's a little hezzy, and I'm by them. Just do what I want. They can't keep me out of paint. They just have to. I mean, and definitely for my career. Like if you're a my career player and you actually play that mode for fun, small forward is going to be great for you. It's going to be no problem. And I'm not even at the point where I'm speed boosting yet. Like near the takeover. I'm not sure how many takeover points it takes. And this is another thing that people aren't considering. Right now, nobody's making a build based around takeover. So here we go downhill. I'm not even going to stop. Just going to run by you. Pascal selling me again. Can I speed boost yet? I don't know. Clay won't get off me. But I don't even have takeover yet. And so the fact that this build will be able to speed boost when it has takeover, if you equip the flashy passer badge and you focus on building up your takeover, and you can also put that on the slashing badge too, and you say, I'm going to get takeover or into takeover as fast as possible, you might be in a situation where you're speed boosting pretty much off rip anyway. Like one or two flashy passes and you're speed boosting with this build because of the way flashy pass boosts your takeover and boosts your ball handling. And I don't know if these characters need more than that. I really don't. I'm not saying they don't. I'm just saying let's play the main game before we do. Because these characters are always just a hair off of taking over the game. Being able to defend bigs if they're heavy enough and have enough badges, defend guards, nobody could guard them. They shoot just well enough that if you know you're released, they're a serious problem. I don't want pure point forwards being where they were last year in this year's game because 2K20 is not 2K19. And that's pretty much that, man. I mean, I'm not even calling plays. I'm not doing everything, and they just... Klay Thompson can't do nothing with me. I'm at the basket again. Like, it's really, like, with minimal effort, no calling plays, no nothing. This character right now, if you made a pure slasher like this, I have made a pure slasher with this build. Like I said, I'm against the pure slasher because of the fact that they're not good at anything besides being pure slashing. But when you talk about just going to the basket, like that build, you can't do anything to stop that build from going to the basket at 6'8". That build literally just dunks every single time in the demo. Now, we don't know if the main game is going to be like that, but I hesitate. You know, I hesitate to cry for too much of a buff on these characters. And that's pretty much it, guys. I'm not recommending a small forward build right now. If you do make a small forward build, I think the number one build for scoring, obviously, is the pure sharp. I think that build's going to be really hard to guard at 6'9". Off the ball, it's going to be too fast for bigs. On the ball, he's going to be too tall for small guards. So that's going to be strong. I think the playmaking defender and the pure playmaker are both going to be solid. I would probably go with the pure playmaker right now. If you make a playmaking defender, I would rather see that build at 6'6" or 6'5", so that the build is also good offensively. But yeah, that's pretty much that. I think that's it for the small forward. I think a lot of the rest of the builds are bad. I think the pure slasher is bad. It's gonna be fun, but bad. Not competitive. Make that build when you just want to go out, have a good time, and dunk on somebody. Don't make that build if you want to go in a pro-am with your teammates and like really do well. Because there's no reason to make a build with bad shooting in this game. Like really no reason. There's so many builds with good defense and a 70 or better shot that I think it's just bad strategy to make to make a build that has no shooting in it whatsoever. Particularly when defenders, like my whole theory with building is if you can't defend or shoot or create, your build probably sucks. And in this game in particular, there's no reason to make a build that can't do those things. But I'm not sure that this pure playmaker at small forward can't do two out of those three things. But with the slashers, the shot slasher, the shooting slasher, all of that, I would stay away from it. The slashing is too bad at shooting and defense to put into any other build, and I think the playmakers and the defenders are too good at slashing to give slashing the time of day. I think that's purely, I just want to have some fun. That's it. And stay away from it. So I don't think small forwards are entirely dead, but they are very close to being too strong. So let's be careful. Peace.